Very busy designing some new things. Of course, there's the big elephant in the room, the 100 watt. We'll talk about that later. That's on through this cab, and I'm running my pair of 10 ends. Okay.
So got 3 amps on.
Now all that you just heard all I did was shut that off, okay? And I'm getting clean, that from a dead clean sound. I'll show you what the 10, I'm running the pair of 10 amps. Okay, so I'm shutting the 100 off. Of course, the 10 ends have that really wide holographic sound, but they also have that blooming glow. All my amps have that. The 100 has that too, but the 100 is much more fundamental. I mean, it's not as
no
pretty
Gain Master on now.
Nothing on it. It's much not as pretty sounding as these, but so here's just the 100 there. And of course, the volumes on these amps are barely on, okay? This amp is capable of giant clean sounds. You'll give out before it gives out on the volume. And it, as you can see, it takes to drive boxes really well. But the video is really about ADG, okay? So what we're gonna do is talk about it, okay? What is it? It's asymmetrical distortion, right? Asymmetrical distortion is the type of distortion you find in fuzz faces and things like that. It's wild, it's crazy. It is not Gain Master. It can't do what Gain Master does. Gain Master cannot do what it does, okay? I'm going to show you an example of what that is. I'm sick of transistor boxes. That's all we see. Which guitar do I want? I want this one.
You were just playing Dirty Bird, right?
That was Dirty Bird. By the way,
that's another debut.
this is the best sounding guitar I've ever heard in my life. It's a Bird's Eye Swamp Ash. It's like it's so resin.
Don't even have to plug it in.
It's wicked. So I'm gonna. It's unfair to use this for this next thing because we all know this guitar. I've been playing this guitar for 18 years. So we're gonna use one everybody knows the sound of. Right, and I'm gonna show you the difference between ADG and a Gain Masters. This is of course in my amps. Gain Masters don't work in other amps. There's no tone controls on them. They're set to the EQ and all that glowing sound that's in the amp to get as if the amp is turned up. This thing, however, is if you turned up an amp that's not asymmetrical, because if you make an amp too asymmetrical, you kill its clean sound, you kill its control. But when you want to get wild, you want asymmetrical distortion, and you're sick to death of transistors, and all these boxes that, what are they now? Now they're not even trying to copy a tube amp, they're trying to copy the other guy's transistor box. None of it sounds like a tube amp, and they plug it into a real tube amp, and then they have 100 of these pedals that all sound like this, you know. And I don't know, I don't get it. So I'm getting it with all tubes, but it's a different thing. I'm not trying to copy the sound of an amp cranked up. That's what Gain Master does. I'm copying here the sound of a great amp cranked up with a really good fuzz face in front of it, but it's all tube. As you noticed, I can control the volumes. I don't get that stupid clean sound. I don't need that stupid clean sound because I have, you know, at the touch of a switch, I have a real clean sound. I don't ever want that fake clean sound that you need, say with a Marshall when you have a fuzz face, when you back that down. I want to be able to back down the sound of asymmetrical distortion and get the sound of the guitar back down in there with it. This does that. I want to be able to use my tone controls. You can't use your tone controls with a fuzz. They don't work. Boy, this guitar is just straight on. And you notice my amps from a dead clean sound. All the harmonics are there. Going to sound like this setup right here. If I just turn these amps up enough to where they're just starting to distort, okay? And that's this one right here, okay? I have on the board has a normal tube that I put in them when they go out, a full pop tube, and it's set a couple of notches higher. The gain control is the right control. Show them, Michelle. So there's the gain on that one around 8 o'clock, and this one's on about 10 o'clock. Okay, so just so we have reference, I'm coming from clean, right? Now the big gain master, the one that's set a little higher. It's harmonic. It ain't that though, okay? It's not crazy harmonic like that with asymmetrical harmonics and distortion in it, okay? It's about as much as the amp would do, turned up to where I don't like much more amp distortion. That's about as much as I would ever If I want more, I'm looking to step on a fuzz or something from here, you know, but obviously I'm not. I got a chord that's out somewhere here. I'll have to chase that down later. But so, as you can see, that's what the gain masters do, and that's why they come with the amps, is they adjust the gain ratio of the amps. This thing is like an extra toy. It's a fun toy. So if I were to try to play what I was just playing there on this set, like, is that how I have mine? I have mine mirroring this one. Okay. I'm going to try to do that all the time. So set like this, I'm going to have to modulate the guitar for some of it, all right? Where I tried to stay full up on the guitar so and the tone controls so you could hear the difference. So I'll try to do that, but I think it's too much gain for that, okay? This thing is usually way more gain than I use unless I back it down. I'll show you some of those back down sounds later. I've got the gain 3/4 up for a lot of this video because I've come to realize that most people play with a lot more gain than I do. But It's not clean and clear like a gain master. It's still got some fuzz in it, which
What a monster sound that is.
yeah, and you really can't do that with a fuzz face because you start getting that stupid clean sound, right? But see, it stays fuzzy and fat. And the tone controls, yeah, they work. ADG. It kicks royal ass, okay? This is a fun machine. That's what it is. It's a blast. It's addicting. It's not something you're going to have on all the time, obviously. This will work with other amps. Don't ask me for one if you got a Marshall right now, because I got a lot of guys that play my shit and are loyal to me. And I'm one guy, and there's somewhere between 10 and 14 hours in building one of these and tuning it for the right tone. And I got to take care of those guys right now. So that I'll be building these. They'll be on my bench every day, amongst other things I'm doing. So
at some point,
there's no list. A lot of people have already contacted me because they sort of know about it and they're like, no, I want one. So I'm keeping the list in my head and I'm going down the line. If someone doesn't have money when it's ready, that's okay. The next guy can get it and they can get another one when they contact me and say, I'm ready now. Okay, fine. All right, so that's how we're going to do it. No deposits, none of this. There's a jack right here. It's a 9-volt jack. It is for the light. It runs the light. You can use it or not use it if you're running the box through a switching. Don't bother plugging this in. This is not a joke, okay? This is not a scam. Tubes run on hundreds of volts. All tube asymmetrical distortion. Tube boxes you buy, oh, it's tube distortion. Yeah, and you plug it in. It's got a 9-volt adapter and there's no power cord. Well, how does a tube run on 9 volts? Well, it doesn't, okay? You can look for yourself if you want on a tube manual. There's nothing in there about running a tube on 9 volts, okay? They don't run on 9 volts. There's transistors in that box and you haven't gotten rid of the transistors. You're still not an all tube. This is elitist. When you have all tubes, you're back to the old days. The old days was everyone's trying to mimic the sound of tube amps, right? Those are just dummy tubes that are in there for when I solder. Okay, so you're not going to get Mullards, real Mullards with it when you get it. So these are just dead real Mullards that I use to solder to keep solder from going into the pins. So
this one's just up there to show the settings, right?
if you really, so the modern way of having all tube and any volume you want is what I've done with the Gain Master in my amps. And you can see what this thing does. This thing takes you from I'm going to set it where I would normally run it. A little more gain than I would put on it, but I like my tone. There's a magic spot for me about right here because I'm mostly a Strat player. And yeah, the other elephant in the room is the Les Paul, and I'll get to that. We'll plug that in, okay? Because everyone was like, oh, you never plays a Les Paul. Okay, so, that's taking that from need to put this in front of the gain master.
So there's no gain master on.
No, use a switching box. Like with a fuzz, you want to put that in front of a gain master. Or with my fuzz, I mean, my fuzz is good, but you know, it's a fuzz still, and it's transistor, but at least it's like what us old guys like, it's vintage old germanium. There's only so many left. I only have so many. When they're gone, I can't find any more. Everyone sounds different than the next one. They all sound good. You get 10 of those transistors, you throw 4 away, 4 or 5. That's just how it works. And then the other 5 all sound different, but okay if I kept them. But I can consistently make this. It just kills a fuzz. It's just, I don't think I'll ever use one again, to tell you the truth, unless I'm looking for, and I never look for that spitting sound. I want a fuzz like, there's some things, some live things and studio things that were never released, where you hear Hendrix and everything was just right. His amp and his fuzz was dead on, and that fuzz almost disappears into an asymmetrical sounding amp. That's what that does. Okay, so now elephant in the room. It's going to be a Les Paul. It's not my forte, and I'm already slopping all over the guitar because I've got some numbness in my hands from a spine thing a couple of weeks ago. I got to get the feeling back in my hands. I can almost automatic pilot as sloppy as I'm playing on those guitars, except for when I tried to play that song just and screwed it all up. But this, I don't know where anything is, because it's, and I can't even hold it. I have to hold it like this, because this is small scale. And
Don't whack Alder boy.
I won't. And a very tiny bridge. Okay. All right. Let's turn the amps back on and start with what we got clean. Now, when I start playing this, when I turn this thing on, you're going to have to follow me, because I'm going to show you something about what that says right there. It says drive, level, drive. You need to be very careful with this box. I worked very hard to get this controls all the way on 10 to still be functionable and have the good sweep. Now, when you get past about here, the word level doesn't apply anymore. Okay? Now it's a drive box, and this thing will put out a lot. Okay? If you have a, I don't want to say the word crap amp, but if you have a Fender or a Marshall, we'll use that word instead, with terrible power supplies. Okay? Then a good thing kind of happens. You know those amps, you turn them on 5 or 6, and then that's it. The louder you turn them, they just keep getting more distorted. They don't get any louder, okay? Because they just fall in on themselves, because they have AC riding all over the power supply, no chokes. And so what happens when you go past here into the drive stage, and of course you're going to be wanting to back the gain control down when you're doing that. When you get into that drive stage, my amps, you'll throw the speakers right out of the box, because my amps will make that wattage from what this is putting into the front end, where your crap amps weren't. So if you're a guy that likes way more gain than I would ever use, you're going to get a lot of free gain from your bad power supply amp, because they distort. That's why a lot of people like them. They distort a lot. And then, so bringing this up past here will drive that amp into way more distortion than the box has. And right now we're getting all the distortion from these boxes you heard. My amps are remaining clean. That's my thing. That's how I build these systems, with enough tone in them to be able to do that and get you to be able to have any volume you want and any gain you want. But all bets are off when you plug this into a little Tweed or something. It's just going to blow it apart, which is okay. You won't hurt it with that all the way up. But that's how it's going to sound. Sorry. Yeah,
You're just looking a little close to it.
That's Alder boy. I don't want to hit Alder boy.
No, Alder boy.
So anyway, so follow me, because I'm going to turn these controls. I'm going to try to mirror them here. And I don't know if the camera's going to know it, but it's going to get loud when I do that, okay? So. things, right? So. Les Paul's like asymmetrical distortion because they're all fuzzy anyway. They're not clear guitars. So, you know, you can drive yourself crazy trying to make them sound too clear like a Stratocaster. But there it is. We'll do part 2 because this camera shuts off for some reason. It just poof shuts off at like 34 minutes.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close.
Okay, so we'll kill it and we're going to do part 2. I'll just show you this amp a little bit. Okay.
Alrighty.
Kill it.